Last year, I had the honor and privilege of interviewing a gentleman by the name of Leon. Leon was born in Paris, France in the 1930s, and he escaped the Roundup. And if you don't know about that, go to the Googles and check it out and look it up. And this was during a time that Nazi Germany was in France and rounded up about 13,500 Jewish people and relocated them. A lot of them went to Auschwitz. Leon escaped capture not only once, but twice. These stories need to be told more than ever. And so I'm going to share that with you. Tell me your full name.
Leon Biren,
Where were you born? Born and raised?
born and raised in Paris, France,
What year?
1933.
Oh. 1933 in Paris, France. And you stayed there until what year?
Until 1942 in Paris.
So at that time you were just almost 10 years old, just under 9.
Almost 9.
Almost 9 years old. So what was life like in Paris during that time?
Well, at that time, if you were Jewish, you had to wear a yellow star on your clothes on the left side, and you just were forbidden to go to movies. You only could shop at certain time of the day, and you could be stopped by the police at any time. You had no civil rights.
So when I looked at the movie on the Jewish star on the left side, what did it say in Hebrew?
It says Jew in French, juif.
Okay. Wow.
I should have kept it.
You had it. Do you have any pictures of?
No, I don't have pictures of it.
Okay.
I'm sure it's, in various books, various movies.
Yes. So you were limited on where you can shop. What places did you have to avoid?
Usually public places. I was able to go to school, and you'd have other children calling you dirty Jew.
Wow.
They didn't know you were Jewish until you advertised it.
What was the purpose behind just signaling out Jewish people at that time? Why did France do that?
Anti-Semitism, which was the German who had started it, and the French right-wing government, which was under the German. The French had lost the war, and the German told the French government and the French police in July 16 and 17, 1942, to round up as many of them as you could who were not French. But like all big things, they picked up French people like us, my brother and I. And that's what occurred.
What town were you living in at that time? What town in France?
Paris.
So you were in Paris. So you were in a big city.
It was in a big city, and that's where the Roundup occurred, is in Paris.
Wow. What's your mom and dad's name?
My father's name was Albert. My mother's name was Helen.
And what did they do?
They were owners of a grocery store.
That's pretty cool back then.
Mm-hmm. Especially people who came from nowhere to establish a business was incredible.
Where did they come from originally?
Poland. Both of them were born in Poland. My father came to France before World War One, fought in World War One, My mother came about, I think she was pretty young, 10 or 12, because she spoke French without any accent.
Hmm.
My father spoke with an accent,
With an accent.
the French.
Yeah, so what did your father do in the war? Was he a soldier or was he?
Soldier, yeah.
Wow, how long?
And I don't know much about what occurred except he was wounded. And uh, when the French police who came to arrest us at the Roundup, that really hurt him because as a veteran, he felt here was a French government giving him, arresting him.
So he served his country in World War. He served his country in World War I, and then he gets taken as part of a roundup by the very people he sworn
Defended.
or defended. It sounds very familiar right now.
Yes, very much so.
Yes, I'm sorry. Wow. Let's go back to when you were a kid. When you were young at that age, what did you do? What did you dream of? Like set as young Leon, I could see you were probably a little mischievous.
Yes and no. I don't remember, before you're 9 years old is family life.
Mm-hmm.
We were a large family because my mother had 7 siblings. She came from a family of 8. So we did a lot of things with aunt and uncles and cousins and so on. I think I just was telling Sandy yesterday that my grandfather who was the father of my mother, had a house, summer home outside Paris where the whole family would gather.
Wow.
And it just was, as I remember it, normal life.
So, do you remember the day? Do you vividly remember the day when the roundup occurred for you?
Absolutely, because my parents knew a roundup was going to occur.
So, was it occurring in different parts of Paris and that it was coming and there was a wave coming in a certain direction? How?
I don't know how they found out, but they went into hiding with neighbors, and my brother and I went to the maid's quarters, which was all the way on top of the building. What occurred was about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. Somebody knocked at the door. My brother said, "Don't answer." But I said, "Oh no, it's probably mom and pop, And so I went and answered, and there were 2 cops at the door. To this day, I feel guilty about
it. But as a kid, I know that's a lot of guilt.
Psychologically, I know all about it.
Yes.
So on, but still, that was my main remembrance from that day. Then my parents came right away. They knew where we were, and somebody must have told them. They didn't have to come, but they came to save us, essentially.
So when the cops came to the door, were you wearing a shirt that had...
No. At home, you didn't have to just wear your regular clothes. Only when you went outside your house did you have to wear a star.
And so when you opened the door, what did they say?
Come with us.
Did they ask you if anyone else in the house was with you?
I don't remember.
And then I'm sure your mother and father appeared.
Yes.
And what happened at that point?
They took all 4 of us, and put us on the bus. There were buses waiting around various streets, public conveyance bus, and took us to that famous stadium.
And what was the name of the stadium? What was the name of the stadium?
Le Veldiv.
How many people were on the bus, and then how many people were in the stadium, to your recollection?
I think most of the people who were arrested that day were at the stadium. 14,000. It was very crowded, very hot. And the movie shows you that very well.
What memories or feelings or smells or anything that you can tell to paint that picture? Like, how did it feel, and did your parents say anything to you?
We didn't stay long. We were lucky. My mother, I guess, had money on her, and that's what my brother said, that she gave one of the guards a handful of money, and he just let us go on the back door, my brother and I. And we went to my grandfather, who didn't bother that day.
So they didn't know that your grandfather was there, or he just happened to.
Just, my grandfather had a business about 20 minutes from us. He was a shoemaker. Repaired shoes and made shoes.
Yes. So
we stayed with him a couple of months.
Your mom's incredible. Your mom's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
How I don't even know how she could get someone close to give them money to let the kids out. Did you hear any of that conversation, or
I don't remember.
she just shooed you and your brother out? And what's your brother's name?
Bernard.
Bernard. Okay. And when you left the stadium, did you just start running, or?
No, we got on the subway and went directly to my grandfather. With our star.
So you still had the star on, and you went, and no other police around you stopped you or anything. It seemed like when I saw the parts of the movies, they weren't supposed to round up children, only adults.
The German told the French government at the time, the Vichy government, we don't want anybody under 16. The French police picked up everybody, babies on up. To this day, I have a bad feeling on the French police.
To this day, I mean, the French police are not the type.
Not high on my... See, which is interesting because professionally I worked with the police here, and it was fine. I had some good friends, one especially good friend from the police, with no problem.
Wow. Okay, so you go with your grandfather. You go find your grandfather.
Yeah.
And you're staying with him for a couple of months.
Yeah.
Did you hear from your parents again? Did you hear from your parents again?
No, never heard from them ever again.
Did you get any words from where they were at, or
no.
Did you find out later where they were sent to?
Much later, after the war, I thought, we'd get back together. And no, I didn't. So I was in an orphanage where all the kids were in the same boat that I was. And so I still didn't find out. Many years later, I went to a center in Paris, a Holocaust center, and took a look at German records. And they were in the German record. Oh, before that, there were a famous lawyer in Paris who published a book where he had all the names of the people who were deported to Germany, to Auschwitz, in a book. I have the book. with my parents' name.
Wow.
But after that, I didn't know how they died or when, but then I got a hold of the German record and I saw my mother died right away when she arrived at Auschwitz. My father died 2 months later. They put him to work and killed him then.
So they went to not chambers, just hard labor, and
Yeah.
and worked him to death. I'm sorry.
And my mother at that time was 35 and my father was 47.
You were with your grandfather for a while.
And by then he said things were getting from worse, start picking up people his age and so on, everybody. And so he said, you have to go away. So we went to the countryside where my parents used to vacation. And we went to that lady who we'd been vacationing there. And she wasn't too hot about us because we didn't have any money.
Right.
So then she gave us to somebody else, and Sandy seemed to think that that person got some money from somewhere. I think there was some underground organization who were watching for kids and tried to help them. I don't know what occurred. From that place, which was south of France, Lamennais, where I took my family, by the way, where I was in '76. I was shifted to a different place where I don't remember how I got there. But when I got there, they'd been there. I was sleeping in a barn, and I became an altar boy in the Catholic Church.
How old were you at the time?
10. No, let's see, 9 or 10.
So this is this is a year later.
Less, yeah, about that. That time, within a year.
So your whole life changes in the blink of an eye, from being with your family to being in the stadium to running to your grandfather's place. Then things are getting worse, and then you on the countryside where your family used to vacation, trying to find a place. And then all of a sudden, you're in Roman Catholic gear at a church.
Yeah. But the people who supposedly helped me, I don't know if they were paid or not.
But they helped you.
But in a way, yes, in a way, no, because I had to work and I lived in the barn with the cows, and there was never enough to eat. So I used to steal potatoes and cook them, and honey. I got to be really good on stealing honey.
Honey.
Because you were in the barn.
They stored some honey in the barn, so I'd pick a little bit from each jar, not to show that I was eating it.
Yes. So where was your brother at the time?
In another town, further south of France at that time.
So you got separated after you were with your grandfather
Yes.
for a while, and then you went to the countryside.
Yes.
And then you separated in the countryside.
Mm-hmm.
And you woke up and you were altar boy.
Yeah, I was a good altar boy.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
And I told him I was baptized, but I never was. I lied.
I think it's okay, given the circumstances. You were working for a church. Do you remember the church?
No, I was not working for the church. I was on the people who had me.
I see.
In their barn.
I see.
That's who I work for.
So were they just trying to hide you in the barn just for purposes,
No,
or
that was the place where I was assigned to sleep. They only had so much room, I guess. I don't remember.
But you were way in the back of France, and there weren't soldiers or war
Yeah,
there.
there was, peace there.
mm,
No armed forces of any kind. No cops.
And no roads.
No main road of any kind.
again, you weren't eating as much? You were
I was a pretty skinny kid, and I had wooden shoes because I didn't have any shoes, and I kept the same clothes for about 2 years.
as you're growing now.
Describe the cold of the barn.
It was very cold. I'm still sensitive to cold.
Did you snuggle up to the animals, or did you just stay in the corner?
Just stayed in a corner and made my own bed with straw. And me and the animals were there, and the rats were there, and I was here.
What was going through your mind at the time when, as a kid,
I didn't think that I remember.
you were just surviving?
Yeah,
You said you did work. What kind of work did you do?
farm work.
Okay.
That's why I want no part of gardening or anything like that.
What kind of farm work? Were you milking cows? Were you tilling?
No, I never could milk a cow. Never. I tried. Never could.
It is very difficult.
I always admired a milkman who could drive it and shoot it toward you just for fun.
Yes. I tried once. It was very hard.
Couldn't do it.
So what did you do on the farm?
I don't remember picking up fruit. I ate fruit, so I remember stealing peaches from the priest's garden. I remember that. Me and the other altar boys. And
You went to school.
went to school. I managed to go to public school at that time too. And somebody must have known that I was a refugee of some kind, because I remember at Christmas time they're giving presents, and I didn't like my present for some reason, and I guess I bitch or whatever. And the teacher says, "Don't bitch, if not I'll have you picked up."
Oh,
So he knew something. Well, then from that place where I was an altar boy, then something happened, because then I was switched, and I don't remember whatsoever the transportation to further south of France, where we went in 76. And it was further into what they call the Lost France. It's, where things hadn't changed since 1900. I mean, that was 1943 by then.
right.
And we were out of deep France, they call it in French.
So you were south. How far south of France? I'm looking at map now.
They call it the Vendée. And Vendée was always very primitive. It was one of the few areas who fought against the French Revolution back in 1791.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's forested, and people are very Catholic there. They still are.
And the house had dirt floors.
And the house had dirt floor. But when I went back and said, "Oh, the house had dirt floor," they said, "No, it didn't."
We're further down South France. So what happens at that point?
I went to other people, and again, how I went there.
He moved from one family to the other, and he doesn't remember
Don't
how
remember
or
at all.
why. But
That family had 5 boys, and the father of that family was a mason, and he raised wine in his vineyards and drank about 12 liters of wine a day. And at that time, that was 1944, the doctor, local doctor, and I don't know why I remember that, told him, "You're going to die. You cannot do that." In 1976, we met him. He was 79, and he was dying of emphysema.
And still drinking.
Still drinking.
The only difference was he made sure that one of his sons was a cooperer, and so the barrels were smaller, that he could turn the barrel himself because he was older.
So they made wine.
And
It was
so
excellent wine.
Sandy was, and I had to drink with him, and then I had to drink a glass with each one of his boys who came to see me, and by then she was driving.
Wow.
And one of them told me, "I'm glad you're doing good because they stole your childhood," which I thought was a very good statement.
Yes. Yes. So, when at that age, were you dreaming to be anything during this point? You were just like, I just need to eat, and how can I get honey? How can I
just
get?
need to eat and do whatever. I don't know what.
Yes.
I expected to see my parents.
And then, Leon thought his parents were alive, see, all this time, and he would get back to them. That was what you thought? They were alive and you would get back to them.
But,
And so then this beautiful woman appeared. Tell her about that. At the end
well,
of the
that
war.
was later on at another place
Second round.
where I was shifted to that bigger town, maybe had 5,000 people.
Yes.
But after the war, I found out the mayor and the local doctor had decided to be a refuge for Jewish kids, and they had 23 or 53 Jewish kids living on that town, which I didn't know.
Wow.
And we all went, in that town, I went to Catholic school. And next, that's what Sandy was talking about, we found out next to our name on the school record, they had a mark for each Jewish kid, different.
So if the Germans had found that, they'd have killed them all.
Yeah.
What year was this?
That was 1944, beginning of 44. Yeah, it was the end of 44, beginning of 45.
So at that time, you were 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And so you went from altar boy
to public school,
to
Catholic school.
To Catholic school. And they were still marking people.
It was the mayor and the doctor of that town, Chavagnon-Paillet. Later on, the town was given a medal by the French government for saving so many kids.
How many kids did they save in total?
I'm not sure.
Hundreds.
No, it was either 50, 53, I think. I'm not sure.
Well, you figure that the Roundup, only 10% of the people who were Roundup survived.
Well, remember, the Roundup started in 1942.
Yes.
But then they start picking up more and more people as the years went along. Another time, and that's not, in my mind, it's not clear. Well, I think during all that time I was kind of in a daze, I guess, because I only remember certain things and certain other things I don't. And I was picked up in further south, in Clermont-Ferrand, where they stopped. What they did is German police and the French cops and an organization called La Milice, which was French collaborators, even more than the police, would stop a street and then it would ask everybody for their papers. I didn't have any papers. So the boys, they would ask them, drop your pants to check if you were circumcised or not. If you were circumcised, you were Jewish, you got picked up.
So you got picked up. How did you? What were you put in? And what were you put into? I'm assuming a bus or
Cattle train
a cattle train.
was
to
going
Auschwitz.
to Germany.
How'd you escape that?
What happened was my brother and the older boys at that time were able to rip the floor, which was wooden, and then we jumped out.
The train stopped.
The
for
train
some
was
reason.
stopped, yeah, disappeared.
All of you?
Several of us, I don't remember again, how many kids.
Yes.
I know my brother and I were certainly the people who got out.
And then where did you go? You just
Then
ran?
we went back to that town where they were given the medal.
And stayed
How
there.
did we get there? No idea. That's a complete blank.
Well, I don't blame you because this is trauma and this is things that it's a fight for survival because you knew what
Yeah.
could happen.
Oh yeah.
And you would hear news and you would hear things.
Nobody knew about the concentration camp.
So 1942, 43, 44, no one had any idea that people...
Not until until mid 45 that the news came out.
Wow.
So when you were on the cattle guard train, you just knew it was something bad and you needed to escape.
Yeah.
You didn't know you were on your way to
No.
Auschwitz.
And obviously they didn't tell you. They just said, you're going to Germany.
No, they didn't
No,
tell
they
you
don't tell
anything.
you that. No. You don't remember how you got in the train?
No.
Oh,
I
something
remember
Roundup. Yes.
Being rounded up.
Okay.
On both the street was blocked
Okay.
with German and French cops and la milice. The milice was the worst.
What's La Milice?
La milice was a paramilitary organization very close to the German, who was made up of pretty much ex-felon. Most of them were bad people. When the liberation occurred in 45, there were a lot of them were shot on the spot by the resistance.
When you escaped that time and went back to the refugee place with the mayor, what did you do at that point? You and your brother got back. What did you...
I don't remember. It didn't last too long after that. Anyway, this nice lady showed up and
Said, come with me.
said she had me on the list and said, you come with me. And she picked up a couple other kids who were younger than me. And we all went to Nantes, the big town there, and tried to take the railroad to Paris. And since most of the railroad line were broken, it took us about 3 days to go back to Paris. Well, I knew that, that was after June 6th.
So you knew that June 6th happened at that point?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But you didn't encounter any Germans going from where you were to Paris.
Not at that time, no. That
Okay.
was all free.
Okay.
And then she took me to a big place of the French Red Cross where I stayed there, I think, overnight. I don't remember. And then somebody else picked me up and took me to the orphanage where I stayed there for 3 years. Until I got to the orphanage, they gave me clothes and shoes.
Where was the orphanage at?
The orphanage is 15 miles from Paris, Jouy-en-Josas.
And it was this beautiful home in the countryside, right?
Yeah.
This gorgeous, beautiful,
Again,
huge
I
home.
took them there.
Keep it.
During the
hang on.
time I was in orphanage, I went back to my apartment because the apartment and the business was taken over, period.
By?
Everything. So all furniture were gone, everything was gone. The only thing
And
was
other people
left,
were living in the.
and other people were living there actually.
They had sort of squatters who had taken it
who
over.
took over. They just took over, and then so my brother got him to leave, and took over the apartment. But when we got to the apartment, the only thing I found was a wedding picture of my parents, which I'll show you in a minute. And
Wow.
that's
Everything
it.
else was totally
Everything
gone.
else was gone.
What about the store that your mother and father were?
Everything was empty.
And the store stood with nothing else in it? Or?
Nothing in it.
They talk a little
I
about
stayed
that.
in the orphanage, and my brother somehow didn't want to go to the orphanage. He was 5 years older, so he managed his life somehow.
He worked.
He worked, yeah. Went to school then, first public school, then high school, and in France you're selected. So out of 120 kids, out of the 60 boys, only 6 of us went to high school because that was next town over. They gave me an IQ test, I know.
Oh, okay. I
They
didn't
did.
hear that. Okay.
You know. Anyway, I didn't like school. I got a lot of. This high school was created in the 1700. It was first in 1700 a girls' school and became a high school. I think it was at one time the third most famous high school in France, Lycée Hoche. And I had a lot of suspension, a lot of after-school detention. At one time,
What were
I
you
held
doing?
the record. I was pretty wild, but all the kids there were kind of wild. We were all orphans. It was old-fashioned French education, which was good.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I think class-wise I did okay, but I didn't want to go back. When the orphanage closed and they sent me to another orphanage in the south of France, I didn't want to go back to school. They asked, well, no, they didn't ask me. They said, you have to learn a trade.
And what'd you learn?
Tailoring,
Oh,
making clothes.
yes. Are you good with a sewing machine?
I cannot sew worth a damn. So they sent me as an apprentice to Toulouse, another town, where I didn't like it, and I ran off back to Paris, and there was no problem. I knew how to get by the police, and but I didn't remember the address of that shop where I was an apprentice until we went and visited friends in that town, and we went to a concert, and I'll be damned, the store was right next to the concert hall. And I went back
And your
to
brother
Paris,
was in Paris in the.
and
in
I
your
lived
parents'
with my
apartment.
brother,
Yeah.
and then what do you call people who take care of children without parents? Foster youth, the French foster youth, which is the children of veterans at that time. Oh, I knew I belonged to the Children of Veteran Organization Foster Youth. It's called National Foster Youth. That I couldn't get kicked out of the high school because I was a foster child. So they could give me detention, but they couldn't kick me out.
Ah.
I knew that. So I went back to Paris, and I didn't want to go back to school. So foster youth said, you want to go to a fashion school to learn how to draw clothing, men and women. And I said, yeah, okay, I'll take it. So I went to that school and learned how to do design. I was not a good designer, but I did graduate from that school and actually met another graduate 50 years later, the father of one of our friends who graduated from that school in 1938. So I went to work for a leading fashion house as an
Maggie Roof.
apprentice, Maggie Roof in Paris. And here is a picture of Maggie Roof, an advertisement for Maggie Roof, which closed a long time ago.
And her designs.
But there I got in trouble again. I broke the jaw of the head designer, so I got fired.
So why did you do that?
Yeah, like why?
I was gay and did a pass. I was 16 at the time, and typical male, I thought that was a big deal. All the models hated his guts, so they took me to a big dinner, which was a big deal in France at that time. And then I went to work for Ready Made as a cutter. The
Yes.
cutter is, that really was the aristocracy of the
French design.
French ready-made clothes, where you're responsible because you have a big mattress and you cut the clothes, and if it's size 40, you hope to hell it's 40 throughout. Sometimes it's 36. But anyway, the master cutter got fired. He got drunk. I was an apprentice, so they gave me his job. And I always remember they increased my salary by the equivalent of $3 a week.
Oh, that's amazing. Back then, that's a house. I mean, that's an apartment.
Even then, I thought they were taking advantage of me. And then I came to the United States.
And talk about how that happened.
Yes.
The relative here in Sacramento and Cleveland, two brothers were cousins of my father. They had left Poland at the same time that my father did. And as children, they went to Hungary and worked in the coal mine. I mean, those were tough people. And then eventually they got to Belgium, and from Belgium, the one who came here, I don't know about his brother, went to Brazil. He had a brother in Brazil. And my father went to Paris. And the one from Brazil came here. So he and his brother were in Cleveland, wrote to us, they had their address, because they'd been in contact before the war, to find out what happened. So we told them, and they had somebody here who translated it from French to English, which is interesting because when I got my top secret clearance, the FBI interviewed that guy. The guy who translated the
documents.
document. How they found him, I don't know.
It's FBI.
So, the FBI in those days were good, not like today. So they said, "Do you want to come to the United States?" Yeah, why not? So we
What
got,
year was this?
1950.
Okay.
And so we got on the boat, the Queen Mary, which is at Long Beach, and we were all the way down. And only 6 people spoke French on the whole damn boat. And we didn't speak French.
You didn't speak English. You spoke French.
Spoke French. And when we got here, we landed in New York. Then a social welfare person put us on a train to Cleveland, yeah. And then we stayed in Cleveland 2 or 3 weeks. And the family there, we didn't care for, and we were ready to go back to France. The people in Sacramento said, "Why don't you try Sacramento first and see what happens?" So we got on the train and went to Chicago and changed train. And the story I tell about Chicago, which I really like, is we picked up a cab and said to the cab, we want to go to the library. And so
In French, because you
In
weren't
French.
speaking English.
the libraire, which is similar to library, so he took us to the library. He said, no, we want to go to, where they sell books. And we couldn't get the language down. He said, screw it. And he put his thing down and he says, I'm going to take you to Chicago and show you Chicago.
Oh.
And he did for free. So I always have a soft spot for taxi cab driver in Chicago.
Did you at least have some pizza? Chicago style pizza?
No, you did go to some place to get a drink in Chicago.
I don't remember.
Because